All right, I'll ask the secretary to take a roll call.
Vice Chairman Trustee Paul Hovis.
Yes.
Trustee Frank Park.
Here.
Chairman Trustee Ted Webb.
Here. Okay. Resolution number 214-18 to accept a letter of resignation from Fiscal Officer Rita Drew as written and presented in an email dated August 11th. Please see attached.
Okay, so it is the 14th. I'll move. That makes sense.
Trustee Hovis.
Yes.
Trustee Park.
Yes.
Trustee Webb.
Yes. Okay, I think we're going to hold up on 215-18 until legal counsel arrives. So we'll put the meeting on hold for a few minutes.
Table that?
Both of us right now, because what we do with one, we do with the other.
Yeah.
So.
Why didn't you tell Chip it was at 5:30? You guys gotta learn.
Well, I could go to the bottom and open the meeting up for general discussion on what actions are needed and when those actions should take place. Let's see, I think I received an envelope identified as fiscal officer keys. There's 2 keys in here, so we have received keys to the building. Alarm code. IT specialist Joel Davis will contact Holland Alarm tomorrow morning and have her removed from the system.
That is correct.
As well as himself and Mr. Mills.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll appoint you as the
administrator. Okay. Very good. So we're going to contact Holland Alarm.
Need somebody to contact the insurance company also.
I can contact Dan tomorrow, let him know. And he can then notify the vision, dental, and the hospitalization and the life insurance. Right. The next thing that needs to be addressed is the township credit cards. I see no evidence at this time that those credit cards have been returned. We'll wait until we can get into the safe. If they're not there, then a letter will be sent out to Ms. Drew to report or return township property within a set time and date, and then we'll take it from there. So now, I guess my question is, who has access to the safe? Is Robin the only one now, or? Okay.
I was, used to be the chairperson, and Robin and Rita.
Okay.
So, but if you've never been in it or never had access, then you don't.
Okay.
I know I don't. I don't want to.
Okay, well, we'll wait to see how that plays out tomorrow. From the department heads, we know that this week is pay week. I believe at this point, according to emails that I've been seeing, times and stuff have been turned in for the most part. But we'll wait for Attorney Comstock to come in, because I think he's got a plan on how we're going to take care of that this week. Hey, Jim. Sit down here. Oh, come to the soft chair. We've opened the meeting. We've already had our first resolution to accept the resignation of the fiscal officer under 214-18. We are now to the point where we're in open discussion on what action needs to be taken. And then, what's that? Right now, I've received 2 keys in an envelope marked fiscal officer. Joel Davis is going to contact Holland Alarm tomorrow morning to have her password removed from the security system. I'm gonna contact BE Solutions to notify them about the insurance situation and have it removed, probably effective the end of the month, from the medical, dental, eye care, and health, or life insurance programs. Credit cards, not sure where we're at with the credit cards at this point. There was no evidence that they were turned in. They may be in the safe at this time, but we'll have to check on that at a later date. I just asked the department heads, we're in a situation where this week is pay week, and if you read her letter of resignation, she is not going to be available on Monday or Tuesday, nor does she plan on attending the meeting Tuesday night. So that leaves us kind of in a very perplexed situation, because the secretary, she's on vacation this week and is not available as well. So what can we do, or how can we move forward? I think you and I talked earlier today, Chip.
Well, a couple of things. One is that, and I want to bring this out, I know you've accepted the fiscal officer's resignation as indicated, but I think she needs to be advised. One of the things that's out there, one of the things that exists is a revised code section 3.01. And that says a person holding an office of public trust, which a fiscal officer's position is one, shall continue therein until his successor is elected or appointed and qualified, unless otherwise provided in constitutional laws of the state. So it's my position, although you've accepted the resignation, that her responsibility, legal responsibility, remains in effect until the board has appointed a person to fill that position, and that person is qualified, i.e. gives bond. So if there's any issues with respect to payroll not taking place, if there's any issues, I think she's personally liable for anything that takes place. And I would advise her of that fact.
Can't do it.
What do you do if you don't show up? I mean,
Well,
that's,
you could send an email. No, I think a couple of things are gonna have to take place. One is, I don't think there's any requirement that the fiscal officer sign the checks. I think this board could pass a resolution authorizing at this time 2 members or all 3 members of the board of trustees are authorized to sign. And notify the bank accordingly, and wherever else we need to do so, that, those signatures are valid. I mean, there's no requirement anyways that you have 3 signatures on a check. It's a policy that this board has implemented for protection.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing legally that requires that you have, you could have 1 signature on a check if you so chose to do so. So I think in terms of payment of bills, payment of payroll, that sort of thing, I don't think there's an issue at all.
Right, well, she did finish up the checks, dated for August 14th. They're sitting in the back, they just require our signatures for that batch of checks. What's at issue though is the employees' checks. Somebody needs to enter the information, so checks need to be printed and then, of course, need to be signed. So that's where we're at.
she's not in town.
Well, that's what, but
According-
even if we
according to
try to
the
get a
email.
hold of her, it comes right back to us.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
email.
You're gonna have to, again, I'm not familiar with your system of your checks or your printing or whatever. I mean, that's gonna be an administrative duty that has to take place. You guys, you're not doing direct deposit, or you are? You're not. So we have to have somebody in here who's going to print them, take care of that process without, who's gonna take care of that process. You guys can sign that, and that's a matter of finding somebody who can do that, or, who's familiar with the system. And I don't know if there's, it may be, have to see like you or somebody else who can provide assistance with that. But I'm not, the main thing is, who can sign them. I mean, we'll have to figure the mechanics of that, but that's gonna be a mechanical issue, not necessarily a legal problem.
Those checks aren't due until when, Friday?
9 a.m. Friday.
Friday. But the time's being turned in tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, but they could turn the time in Thursday and still get them Friday, just input and stuff.
It's a matter of doing the
It's
input,
doing the
input
input,
and then calculating the taxes and so forth.
Right.
So,
And I don't know if the software automatically does that when they punch in the hours.
Never been involved in that, so.
just one person should know how to do things, and nobody
Exactly.
wanted, she wouldn't jump on it, so, now we're stuck.
What,
That's what I
Is-
always said, there
is-
should be two people who know how to do something.
is and that's in every organization, and so, and I will tell you, in every organization, it's always the fiscal officer position that's the weak point.
Yep.
Because you always usually have multiples, whether it's a fire chief and a captain, or, you know, 3 board members or whatever else, but that's neither here nor there. Let me, how does she do the payroll? Is it via, through her computer system?
I believe so.
Oh,
It'll
township.
be through-
Township.
Oh, township. I'm sorry, Dennis?
No cost.
Okay, and so, in terms of getting into it, is it, well, I assume Joel would be able to get
Joel,
access.
can you get us into the system to do?
Our secretary can do it, Robin can do it, is she at work?
No, she's on vacation.
She's out of, as far as I know, she's.
Let me ask you this, Chip, if we find somebody from another township that's on our system, can we ask them to come in and do it?
Yep.
And then
The
we
problem is,
just
I
have
don't know if we have anybody that's on our system, because that's why we wanted to go to the UAN, so that more of the townships are doing that.
Well, I guess that would be, Joel, do you know how many people you deal with in townships that would be
The
on our
only one that I
system?
know that's on it is Howard.
That's on our system, similar
Correct.
system.
Yeah.
What is our what is the system?
Yeah, OTAS.
OTAS.
Like, where is it?
Maybe on that.
What's her name over there, Howard?
Vivian.
Oh, she retired, I thought, didn't she? And
She's
she
in
was
the-
only a deputy clerk, I thought.
Yeah, she's deputy, and I think she's gonna retire, I don't know if she has yet or
Oh,
not.
okay, sorry about that.
There's gotta be some township that's on our system. I mean,
Oh, I think-
I don't know what Johnson was on, but
Well,
of course, John's.
Yeah. You don't know that much about it, Joel.
What about Fowler?
No, I don't think Fowler's on it.
Hey, I got a quick question for you, and then I'll call you back later as far as
It's
the
not-
fire district
It's
system
not easy to
for
sit down and
financials
key
that
that.
we were
It's
on.
easy if you know it.
What is it, what was it?
You don't know it. It could-
Or is
Yeah,
it, what
that
is
old
it?
news.
Tough dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. You interested in making, some money for a week or two? Here's what, I've got a township that has to pay bills. If this officer just resigned, it's because they are on OTAS. That is their system. They don't have anybody here that knows how to work it. So. Okay, let me, sure, okay. What were you charging us, what were you charging us? Right, okay. Okay, well, this is Bazetta, perfect. Okay, thanks. Yeah, absolutely, I'll call you back. Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, so, my fire district uses OTAS. My fiscal officer retired, remember we talked about replacing
Yeah.
him? He said, I can pay bills, I can do that. He says, and he's retired, he says, I'll come up and see what I can do.
Okay.
That's pretty nice.
Well,
There's
he,
your-
so
would that
I told him it would be.
Interim person
Yeah, well,
for the time being?
for time, so here's what he charged, so what he did for us, he charged us $25 an hour, not to exceed 600, cause he goes, I didn't wanna have to worry about, more reporting after that.
Right.
So, he could get you by on a short-term basis, and he's familiar with the system, and then my fiscal officer, cause we're still using the same system, although we plan to go to UAN, because of this very issue, would be familiar with that as well. My department's fiscal officer, so between the two of them, we ought to be able to get through those.
Okay, really.
Yep.
And you don't feel that the fiscal officer's signature is required on the check, it's just at least 2 of us?
Yes,
Okay, well, all 3 of us could,
Yeah.
could sign in this
Yeah.
yeah.
situation.
Yep, there's no requirement that the fiscal officer's signature appear on it.
Yeah,
Again,
because
it's typically.
township resolution here is 2 trustees.
Right.
'cause sometimes
Yeah.
I'm out.
Or,
Yeah.
so, yeah, then,
Right.
yeah.
It is what it is.
All right, well, then, it would be best for him to contact.
I'll call him, not outside the public meeting, and make arrangements for him to work with you and whoever else.
Do we,
I
do we need to make a motion then to,
If you want to retain the services of Peter Johnson,
Maybe we put him in here to appoint.
he's not an interim fiscal officer, he'd just be,
Okay.
cause I think it'd just be to retain the services of Peter Johnson to, how we want to do.
To fill the roles as a fiscal
To
officer.
provide fiscal services, how about that, to the township, at a rate of $25, not to exceed $600.
okay,
So that would be our 21518.
Mm-hmm.
okay. 21518, to retain the services of Peter Johnson, to provide fiscal services to the township at a rate of $25 an hour, not to exceed $600. Is there a motion?
I'll make,
Second,
Trustee Hovis?
yes.
Trustee Park?
yes.
Trustee Webb?
Yes. Okay, so we've got that part taken care of temporarily. Do we appoint an interim at this time, or what do we do?
You have,
I think we need to follow our next one, 216,
Yeah.
seek applications, and then we can do that probably at the next meeting.
yes,
correct?
that, you have, so I was
I
looking.
think.
For the firm, what's it, conference? Well, there's a number of things that are, the vacancy you have. You have 30 days to fill the vacancy once it becomes effective. Okay? And you would have to, there's a couple things that, so you can advertise for a period, whatever you'd like, to, take applications for X days, and advertise for it within the township. That person, once chosen before they're sworn in, you have to have the bond
Right.
in the amount that, continuation of that person, assuming that they can be bonded.
When do we
Can
take
that-
her bond away?
Reset.
Well,
I would keep it until.
I would keep it,
That's why I'm
exactly, because
asking.
I would keep it until the replacement is sworn in, then I would notify and cancel, it's basically at the same time. Because, as I said, arguably, she's still responsible for anything that happens, so you could end up going against her, something happens, you go against her bonding company, then the bonding company would then go after her.
Right.
So, again, that will take care of that. The other thing is, when is her term up?
April of 2020.
So, that's
Yeah, 'cause 19, you and her have to run for reelection.
Yes.
You're appointed in
Yes.
2020 in January, and she's.
19.
Oh, you run in 19, but you don't take office officially
So
until
20,
20.
yep, and then she's April.
She's April, yeah,
April, what was it?
April
2020.
2020.
The other issue is, I think, and this is the other problem you're gonna run into, and we have to check with the board of elections, I think that whoever you appoint has to, because it's more than 40 days prior to a general election,
Right.
I think whoever would be appointed would have to run. So, when an elective office becomes vacant and is filled by appointment, such appointee shall hold the office until the appointee's successor is elected and qualified. And such successor shall be elected for the unexpired term at the first general election for the office which is vacant, that occurs more than 40 days after the vacancy has occurred. See, provided that when the unexpired term ends within 1 year immediately following the date of the general election, An election to fill such unexpired term shall not be held, appointment shall be for such unexpired term. So, you said that her term is up, wouldn't be until
April of 2020.
April 2020. And so, that would be more than,
40 days.
well, this election is more than, it's first general election that occurs more than 40 days after the vacancy. So if she resigned within 40 days of the election, it would, the election.
Go to the next general.
Election, in which case it would probably run for the unexpired term, because now you'd be 19, it would be within 1 year. But because it's more than 40 days before the election, and because the term is more than 1 year, I think that person, that they would have to run for the unexpired term. In other words, they would run now and they would hold the office until April of 2020.
So they would have to run in this general election coming up in
Yes.
November? So I mean, that seems like that would not be enough time, your petitions have to be in there.
I have, yeah, because your petition's gotta be in by the 26th of, no, 14th. Actually, if the date she's resigning, that's when your petition's gotta be signed and in.
I think they consider the same thing as writing at the last minute.
I think we're gonna talk to the board, I just think that they're gonna have to provide some guidance as to how it's done. And then it says, when an elective office becomes vacant and is filled by appointment, the appointing authority shall immediately, but no later than 7 days after making the appointment, certify to the Board of Elections and to the Secretary of State. The Board of Elections, or in this case of an appointment to a statewide office, the Secretary shall issue a certificate of appointment.
So my question, Chip, is if we have 30 days to take application for the appointment of the position, will that person have time to?
Well, that's another, because I'm just reading this again, it says when the elected position becomes vacant and is filled by, let's see, it says the full office because this is elected and qualified, so it's not. Such as the elected, the unexpired term, the first election vacancy occurs not more than 40 days after the vacancy. So I think that whoever appoints has to run.
This year.
Again, we talk, see, it's a different thing, but the issue is on the term of everything else and when the elections are due, it was 90 days prior to the election, for ballot issues, et cetera.
Right.
And that's usually 90 days. Here it's 40, I mean, we have a substantial difference.
Yeah.
Even with 75, we still have.
Well, even with 40 days prior, I mean, even if she did or he did, a petition, it would never get printed on the ballot. It would be
No.
too quick.
I don't know, that's,
Yeah,
but,
tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll call election board
Yeah.
tomorrow.
No, just spitballing, but wouldn't it kind of be like an elected official, like a trustee? And we've had those expire before, I mean, pass away, and
Mhm.
somebody had to get elected in. Or the other trustees decided who that other trustee was gonna be, and then they filled that for the unexpired term.
it just depends on,
I
it's all
know.
time, it's all timing issue. It's all timing issue, that's, if it's.
Until the, yeah, right, until the next general election, like with Paul.
That's right.
So, I don't know law or nothing, but I just know what I've seen before when it's happened, you know?
It all depends on when the resignation occurs in relation to when the general election is and how much time is left on the term. I mean, that's, if there's, so much time left, you just fill that remainder out of that term. A year, it's long enough, and the election, it's right when that election falls.
Because that way, there's always two people that always know what's going on. There's two trustees that run together, and then there's a fiscal officer and another trustee that run together. So that pattern, I don't think can be broken.
Well, I don't think it would, only
No.
because it's for the,
Oh, it wouldn't be broken?
yeah, it's for the unexpired
No,
term.
frankly, yeah.
Till 20.
And then that person would
Yeah,
have to run
it's
again.
no different, they
next fall.
did Niles here
Yeah.
just at the last election,
Because
somebody
that's what Rita had to do when
ran
we moved her in.
to
Right.
fill the
She just had to
vacant
run the
term,
election.
and then they had to run again.
Right.
Right.
spot for a year and a half, but then when they ran in the regular election, and they got,
4 years.
yeah. So, and nothing's guaranteed. So we need to get a hold of the election board.
Board tomorrow. I'll call and talk to the board tomorrow about that. So right now, we're not appointing anyone as an interim. We're gonna let
Peter
Peter
Johnson.
Johnson temporarily fill the fiscal responsibilities, until we can appoint someone to fill the interim term. And that interim term, we need to appoint that person when?
So, well, within 30 days.
Within 30 days. That's only for the interim, or is that for the?
No, that's for
To fill the vacated.
You could, I guess the issue becomes, I think you have to appoint somebody to the position, selected position within 30 days.
Okay.
If you do not, then it goes,
Then the prosecutor.
no, it's the, I think it's a probate court.
Probate?
Okay, so the vacancy in offices, if there's a vacancy by reason of death, removal, et cetera, or any other reason, from any other cause, the board of trustees shall appoint a person having the qualifications of an elector to fill such vacancy for the unexpired term, or until a successor is elected. And again, the only requirement I know of a fiscal officer is that you be a resident of the township. If the township is without a board, we should have that, let's see. Or if no appointment is made within 30 days after the occurrence of a vacancy, the majority of persons designated as a committee of 5 in the last, filed nominating petition, of the officer's vacancies to fill, shall appoint a person. Now, I don't know that it's everything you have to ask on the board, did she have a nominating committee? Again, this makes the assumption that you don't.
She did it herself, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, again, and that assumes that you don't agree, because again, you guys can all agree. Let's see. If at least 3 committee members or residents, fails to make an appointment within 10 days after the 30-day period in which the board of trustees is authorized, then the presiding probate judge of the county shall appoint a suitable person. If the vacancy occurs, elect officer no more than 40 days before next general election municipal or township, successfully chosen to fill the unexpired term. See, that's the same repeat language. The term expires within 1 year from the next election. No, see, that doesn't apply. But basically, it's the probate judge who will appoint, if you can't
If we can't
agree
agree.
within that time.
Now, is that a unanimous agreement, or is that a majority
I think
agreement?
it's a majority. No, it doesn't say it has to be. Normally, you think, it normally comes up in terms of a township, so it's the, yeah, it just talks about, it's kind of weird, because it talks about, that if at least 3 committee members who are residents of the township cannot be found, or if that number, of such members fails to make an appointment within the 10 days.
But that's it.
Which assumes a committee which the board is authorized, to make an appointment, then the presiding probate judge shall appoint a suitable person having the qualifications to fill the unexpired term. So, again, I think what happens is you wait you have 30 days to fill, if you don't, there's no committee, then 40 days thereafter, the probate judge appoints.
So, there's 3 ways to fill the position. First would be the 3 board members for
Correct.
for applications.
Correct.
And if unless Rita has formed a committee to name her appointed committee,
But that only takes place if you don't agree.
If we don't agree,
Right,
okay.
right.
Okay.
So, here's what normally, where this comes up. There's one township trustee resigns, there's two trustees. They can't agree because it's one-to-one.
Gotcha.
Then it's decided by the person's committee, if they're thought about doing it.
Mhm.
And then if that's not the case, there's no committee, which is usually the case, then it goes to probate judge.
Okay.
So a lot of times two township trustees are caught in crossfire township politics.
Right.
Just let it go and let the probate court
Yeah.
appoint the person.
Okay. So, at this point, is there a procedure that we have to follow? Do we have to publish that there is a vacancy, or can we just?
If the three of you could agree to somebody right now who would agree to take the position, you could do that. The question is, whether or not you would want to advertise out to the township. That's entirely up to you.
My next question is, the appointee, if they accept that position, do they get benefits as though, or is that only for elected officials?
No, well, they fill the position, they are a township fiscal officer, they would be just as if they were elected.
Okay.
Subject to the insurance, they
They'd get
get
the
everything
insurance,
that they're presently offering, they
And
would get.
they would have to be bondable, that
Yes.
would be the main criteria at that point.
Correct.
That person would have to have, or be able to be bondable for, and I think in our situation, it would be 3.5 million or something like that.
Whatever your budget is,
About 4 million,
Four.
4 million.
so it's, I have that.
10% or?
Now, there's a specific dollar amount that has, the bond is with more than 3, but not less than 6, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
It's $195,000.
Okay.
So,
So whoever we appoint to fill the vacant position now, or within the next 30 days, would still have to,
I would appoint that person subject to securing bond in an amount not less than $195,000. And then what would happen is, they would have to get the bond, and then they would be sworn into office.
now, I think when we got our bonds, that was all done through Otarma, wasn't it?
Yeah,
However,
Yeah.
wherever you can get
Yeah.
it.
same thing as the fiscal office.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you might contact the Otarma and say, hey, we are, in this process of securing new bonds, kind of give them a heads up.
Well, do you think that we can come to a conclusion tonight on who to appoint to the
Can't.
position?
Can't do it.
Can't do that tonight?
I mean,
You could, but you can't.
legally, you can't.
Well, that's right, because she's still the fiscal officer.
Well, I don't know why you can't, you
Well-
can't. You can go
If you're
into,
doing what I'm thinking we're gonna do,
you can go,
can't.
you can.
Okay.
You have to accept one and,
You could go into executive session if you want to discuss this for appointment of public employee personnel.
That would probably be the best thing to do with Chip right now.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, on 2-1, guys, I've been dragging you out on this, but appreciate you helping me in here. We're gonna go, 2-1-6, 1-8 to go into executive session for the purpose of,
The consideration of the appointment of a public employee or official
I'll move.
under 121.22G1.
say that again,
121.22G1, which is your general personnel.
Did you give me that pen?
No.
You
that's
just
too
run out of
fancy-
ink.
Too fancy for me. Well, maybe I did, I can't afford
Yeah.
it.
There you go, Frank.
There was a motion, you,
Second.
Paul made the motion.
Yeah, I made the motion, Frank
Frank
seconded.
seconded.
Yeah.
Roll call vote.
Yes, yes.
I'm gonna use it.
Back in a few minutes. I need to throw that away.
Thanks for sticking around, Ben.
No problem, I get clogged anytime.
All right, where am I at here? 8:06 PM, we are going to, 217-18 to return from executive session with no action taken. Is there a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Trustee Hovis,
Yes.
trustee Park,
Yes.
trustee Webb.
Yes. Okay. 218-18 is to appoint. No, that was 216, we went into executive, 217, we went, returned from executive section. And so 218,
Okay, I got it.
218-18 is to appoint Jean Eddy as fiscal officer of Bazetta Township, subject to receipt of a bond payable to the Board of Township Trustees in the amount of $195,000, and for, and swearing in the ceremony.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Trustee Hovis.
Yes.
Trustee Park,
Yes.
trustee Webb.
Yes. Okay. And then, let's see, that was 218, so this would be 219-18 to adjourn the meeting at 8:07 PM.
I'll move.
Second.
Trustee Hovis.
Yes.
Trustee Park,
Yes.
trustee Webb.
Yes.
Thank you.
If you could read my chicken.
I just need to, I'll just copy it, just so I have